Good evening. It is 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, October 19th, 2022, and this regular meeting of the Sandpoint City Council is now called to order. We are in the council chambers for those participating remotely at City Hall, 1123 West Lake Street in Sandpoint, Idaho. For the record, I'm Mayor Shelby Ronstadt presiding. Also present are councilors Kate McAllister, Deb Rule, Joel Espiro, Andy Grote, and Justin Dick. It looks like Jason Welker is not with us this evening. We are honored to have some of our local Girl Scouts here this evening, and I'll have some additional remarks following the Pledge of Allegiance. But at this time, if everyone will please stand, I'd like to ask the Girl Scouts if they will please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is right up front.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Nicely done. Last Tuesday, October 11th, was International Day of the Girl, which recognizes girls' rights and the unique challenges girls face around the world. At this time, I'd like to invite the CEO of the Girl Scouts of Eastern Washington and North Idaho, Brian Newberry, to the podium to say a few words, please.
Emerson was awesome. This is exactly why we come on up here, Emerson, because a week ago was the Day of the Girl, and it's to celebrate your voice. And we heard your voice loud and clear. So you keep talking, okay? Because we want to keep listening. Thank you, mayors. Thank you, Sandpoint, for having us up here. I tell you what, I live in Spokane. Every time I come up here, I'm like, when can I move here? Beautiful sunset out the lake. It's such a beautiful area. It was an incredible year for us. Thank you for letting us celebrate our Girl Scouts. And I also want to celebrate the police families in the back as well. We had this year 42,000 boxes of cookies donated to our military, to our firefighters, to our police officers, and to our healthcare responders. That was a 7,000 increase from the previous year. So I wish I would have brought some cookies for you all. I'm really sorry about that. I did bring cookies for the council members. We do love you. Please watch for our next cookie season. We'll send you all the VIP patches out there. But there's another reason why I'm here, Mayor and City Council members. Last year, about early summer timeframe, late spring, you had a girl here join who was actually in Emerson's troop 2132 with her leader, Cora Johnson. Her name is Brennan. And when she joined here in Sandpoint, she put us green for membership this year. We were one of the first councils in America to go green, and we ended up ending top 5 in America for our membership, being up 14%. And we actually have eclipsed all of our pandemic losses, and we're back to where we were back in 2014. So we are stronger than ever with Emerson out there. We're doing great things. And you know what, Emerson, you make the world a better place. And so do you, Mayor and council members. Thank you for letting us celebrate Girl Scouts. Thank you all.
Brian, thank you for those remarks. And I'd like to thank Emerson for attending this evening as well. Thanks for being here and for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. That was really nice. Okay, also this evening, we are honored to have our Sandpoint police officers and their families here to celebrate with us Police Family Appreciation Day. This Sunday, October 19th, is National Police Officer Spouses Day. And we'd like to take this opportunity to recognize the spouses and families of our police officers. And although this is a national day of recognition, which calls out spouses, it should be noted that this day encompasses all law enforcement family members who are part of an officer's support base. In Sandpoint, we appreciate and value the exceptional police force that we are blessed to have here. They have the support of the city's elected officials, their fellow city co-workers, and the support of our community behind them. There are few more demanding jobs, I imagine, than serving as a police enforcement officer. It takes an extraordinarily strong person to choose to work in this profession, and an equally strong family, offering constant support and encouragement, sometimes in the face of great adversity. I've heard many times that being a police officer is a rewarding career, and I have no doubt that that is the case. knowing the service you are providing to our community, having the opportunity to make a difference in someone's life every single day, that would truly be rewarding. But it isn't an easy job, and it isn't always a life for those who, an easy life for those who love and live with a law enforcement officer. So I would like to personally thank all of the family members of our Sandpoint police officers for your endearing support and steadfast dedication, living the law enforcement life every single day. Thank you. And before I hand it off to you, Chief, I would invite the council members, if any of them would like to say a few words of appreciation as well. Do not feel obligated, but I want to give
I'll
you the
say
floor.
something. I think it's just really remarkable, and it's so interesting as I go around the town and I see you in your cars, and it's just, every time I see you in your cars, I want to wave. And then I thought, no, maybe they'll think something's wrong, so maybe I shouldn't. But anyway, I want you all to know that I appreciate you so much. At the Chamber of Commerce that I run, whenever there's been any issues, we had a couple homeless people. You've been so kind. You've been just amazing. And I just really, really appreciate everything you do. And as for the families, I think you're just amazing. I have a kid in the FBI, and there have been times that I have been very, very frightened until I get the call that says she's okay. And so I don't understand that as deeply as most of you do. And so I really appreciate the spouses and the kids and the support you give them, because without you, we just wouldn't be a community. So thank you so very much.
Kid, I would say if you wave with a smile, then that's.
I know,
the
but
way
I'm
to
always
do
like,
it.
oh, don't
Yeah.
do that.
Just don't wave with a frown.
Right, they'll arrest me.
I would, and to the families, the spouses, the kids, thank you very much for letting us have your loved one watch over us and take care of us. We get to see your parent and your spouse maybe a little bit more than you sometimes do. So we, as a community, very much appreciate you letting us have that time with them. So thank you very, very much.
All right, Chief Kuhn, would you like to say a few words?
I'm going to keep it very short and sweet. We're not, it's
We like
odd
it
because
sweet.
I want to feel like I want to face this way, but really I want to face this way, but we'll talk about that.
They can see you right there.
Look up in the screen.
Not very flattering if you want to know the truth. I appreciate, Mayor, your words and our council for you guys' support. And really, I was thinking today, how many times, for myself and my partners have told their wives or their spouses, I got to go, I got to call, not sure when I'll be back. And we take off and we run. We grab our gear and we run towards that danger, that fire, or whatever is happening. Leaving them just to kind of wonder what's happening and waiting for that phone call of everything's okay, I'll be home soon. For some of us, it's been 25 plus years. Some of our officers, it's been a year. I don't think it really matters the time frame, but running away from your family and leaving them behind has always been something that I personally appreciate with not only with my wife and my kids, and for our wives and our spouses that are hiding behind me, how much I appreciate their willingness to share their spouses and their family members with us for those shifts, to help dedicate their time and their talents to keeping our community safe is absolutely enormous. So I'm going to stop with that. But what I did ask is I asked Lindsay, my better half and my support, if she would come up and read a quick poem. Just a little, hopefully it's a little bit of a perspective of sometimes what our wives may be thinking as we turn tail and run in some of those instances. Lindsay.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council and everyone in the audience today. I wish I could say that I wrote this. I did not, but I think it speaks volumes as to how I feel as being a policeman's wife, and I probably echoes most of the feelings of the spouses that are in the room tonight. So it's entitled A Police Wife, and it's by Ashley Hoppe, who is a wife of a K-9 officer. I don't wear a uniform. I don't have a badge. I've never been sworn in, nor have taken an oath with raised right hand. My thin blue line is different indeed. The thin blue line I walk is from behind the scenes. I stand beside you or behind you, so proud and true, for you are a member of an elite few. You have sworn to do a duty, to uphold the law, to honor, serve, and protect. That is your call. While the burden you bear is great, mine is nonetheless. We both carry a very heavy weight. With hugs and kisses, I smile and I say, have a good night, all the while hiding my silent fright. For every day at 10:41, my burden has yet again begun. My heart goes with you and all your brothers and sisters in blue. I pray you all will return at 10:42. How do you do it, they say? How can you live life that way? How can you not worry? How can you not fear? My answer to them is perfectly clear. Of course I worry. Of course I fear, always wondering if end of watch is near. But this is my duty. I say, it's just what we do. You see, I too bleed blue. I am proud to say that I live this life because of the man I love. I became a policeman's wife.
If the wives and kids could just stand up for us. So really, this really. Orchids, I personally appreciate each and everything that you guys silently do behind the scenes. And I just want you guys to stand up and be recognized and let us thank you publicly for your support and for your guys' dedication for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any announcements from council?
I've got a quick one. Just real quick, a kudos to the Monday morning hike crew. For those of you that are familiar with them, they've been in the area hiking every Monday morning for the past 32 years. When they're not out hiking, they are cleaning miles of debris and trash off the road. This past Monday, they ended up collecting several bags of garbage on a 2-mile stretch on both sides, just north of town. And lastly, a big happy birthday to the Friends of the Library. I believe they are celebrating their 33-year anniversary and support and advocacy of the Sandpoint Library.
Thank you, Counselor. Any announcements from staff?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, a couple of announcements. We have a survey that is recently closed, and that was on our snow maintenance plan, snow removal maintenance. And that will be coming back to council at your next meeting for discussion on policy and some revisions to how we are managing snow maintenance, just in time for when we may be getting snow. We have 2 surveys that are still open. One is on recreation in the Little Sand Creek watershed. The second is on the James E. Russell Sports Center operations. And the public can access the surveys on our Facebook page, on the front page of our website, as well as in the Engage Sandpoint app for those who have our mobile app. So there's a button right in your app. When we launch surveys, the button pops up right in your app. So all of those are available, and we'll close at the end of the day on October 30th. We have well over 300, 400 responses to both of those. So thank you for the public input. Also this week, we announced fall leaf pickup dates. Our first week for pickup will be next week. So starting October 24th. And our second week will be November 14th. About a year ago, a couple of years ago, we went from a single week leaf pickup to 2 weeks. And I know we're hearing from people that leaves have not fallen yet, but with the cold weather, we will probably see them fall through the weekend. And that's why we scheduled a second week of pickups. So people with leaves that they want to have picked up, they need to put them on the street next to the curb, and they need to be out by Sunday evening this week, and November 13th, the same. So our crews go all throughout town. We don't circle back if your leaves were not out when we went by. So you really should plan to have those out by end of day on Sunday. This is not our branch pickup, and we do not pick up bag leaves. So this is just loose leaves next to the curb that our crews are picking up. And then finally, we also announced our public workshops, which will take place next week on housing and community, housing and neighborhoods, and that sense of community to inform our comprehensive plan. And I want to have Amy, our city planner, come up and talk a little bit about what kind of information we will be providing the public and for the public to respond to at those workshops, because I think once they know what are the topics, the specific topics, I think people who have been concerned about a number of developments and things in the community will see this is a workshop they want to attend.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Again, these are the two workshops on housing and neighborhoods. The first one will be Wednesday, October 26th from 1 to 7 p.m. That will be here in council chambers. We actually relocated the second workshop for Thursday, October 27th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we are locating that at the Tango Cafe Community Room at the Sandpoint Center at 414 Church, so that we're going to where the people are instead of making everybody come to us. So we're hoping just as a activity center that will bring us different input and additional people that may not otherwise come to a workshop. Again, this is a follow-up to previous engagement that happened earlier on in the comprehensive plan process. There were surveys and workshops on housing and neighborhoods. So the purpose of this is both to provide information and to get input back from residents. Information that we want to get out to the public is information on zoning, what is currently allowed where in the city. So both the zoning maps and what regulations are, like what kind of building heights can you have in single family districts versus multiple family districts. And then what uses are allowed different places? What are our regulations on accessory dwelling units, on other uses? And then also providing information, maps and data on current residential construction activity. So where is construction happening and how much is happening? And what does that look like, as well as some background and summaries of the input we already received to date. Then we also are going to have a visual preference survey of different types of detached and attached housing types that are viable for infill development, and what different housing solutions can look like. We all know there is a housing crisis, and what are different solutions and where can those go in the community? And then also question boards on what residents value and have concerns about in their neighborhoods, what they would like to see more of in their neighborhoods. So it's a little bit of information. It is just a drop-in format. People don't have to stay the whole time. They can come when they're available. And it will be both providing information and then asking them to give us feedback as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Very needed.
Any
So
questions?
is the 1
Yeah.
to 7 here in chambers on next Wednesday?
Correct.
Okay. Yes. Sorry about that. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Amy. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Jennifer? No?
That's it for
Okay.
announcements.
We'll now proceed with the public forum portion of the meeting, which allows the public the opportunity to address the council and myself on items that are either listed on the consent calendar or on any item that is not listed on the agenda. To accommodate those who wish to speak on general items during the public forum, as well as those who wish to speak on specific business items on our agenda, a total of 20 minutes will be dedicated to the public forum at the beginning of the meeting. If you'd like to speak and not have an opportunity to do so, we will provide that opportunity by reopening the public meeting at the end of our regular agenda. Those here in chambers who wish to speak will need to complete a sign-up form, which is located by the front door. Please hand it to the city clerk up here in the front right of the room. And for those who are participating remotely, you will need to, if you wish to speak, I will ask for public comment. At that time, you'll raise your hand and the clerk will unmute you. So comments shall not be personally derogatory, nor shall they be personally directed at any individual organization or business. Public comment opportunities during meetings are for comments only. Please do not direct any questions at council staff, and please do not approach the dais. Please note, during public forum, council may not hear or take testimony on any planning and zoning matter that is before the city or is known to be a likely application. Such testimony is allowed only during the public hearing. Issues regarding the performance of city employees constitute matters that must be discussed only in executive session and are not appropriate during the public forum portion of the meeting. Matters that have been previously heard and decided by council may be determined to be inappropriate for public forum as well. Citizens may use this time to request that items be placed on a future agenda for future discussion. Those in attendance are not to disrupt this meeting or the business at hand that is being taken up by the council. Disruptive behavior includes clapping, disruptive noise, and comments or exclamations from the audience. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes. Madam Clerk, has anyone indicated that they would like to speak during the public forum?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Sherry Coldwell.
Hi, thanks for having me. For those of you who don't know, I'm the director for the senior center here in town. Our senior center is a recreation center, not an inpatient facility. And we provide a home delivered meals program like Meals on Wheels. What I wanted to share with you is something that I've noticed over the last 2 years of working there, and that is a large number of homeless seniors. I don't know if you're aware of this issue or not, but I've got several seniors who are living in motels right now or couch surfing. Several are living in their cars, and I have one gentleman living in a storage facility. I didn't know if you were aware of this issue, and I just wanted to share it with you since housing has been such a hot topic for us recently. And judging by what I just heard, it's probably good timing that I shared that with you. I don't know what can be done. I just wanted to make you aware that this was an issue that has come to my attention. Some of the folks that are homeless have moved up here without a game plan. They didn't realize the housing market was so tight here and that the number of beds available in some of the assisted living facilities are very hard to come by. For the most part, folks are on waiting lists several months long, just basically waiting for another person to pass away in order to have space there. So when you're considering affordable housing, I hope that you will keep our seniors in mind. Given the median age of our county, we're going to have a very large amount of people retiring in the very near future. And a lot of those folks are going to be on assisted or fixed incomes and going to require affordable housing. That's pretty much all I wanted to share with you.
Thanks, Ms. Coldwell. Appreciate that.
Thank you all. No questions?
Madam Clerk?
No one else has signed up, and I do not see any hands raised on Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. That concludes the public forum portion of the meeting. Next, we'll have the consent calendar. For the record, the total amount of bills is $1,746,135.28, reflecting $760,40 for regular payables and $1,105,374.88 for payroll. Are there any items council wishes to remove from the consent calendar?
Mr. Mayor, not removed, but I did have some questions. So I had noticed that there was approximately an $8,000 repair bill for Memorial Field. So I'd like to get a little bit of clarification as to what that was for?
Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
Councilman, that repair bill was for damage that had occurred that our maintenance staff, Parks maintenance staff had identified following the festival down at War Memorial Field. One of the entrances to the field, there was a compaction right where the concrete meets the field. There were tire tracks that would align with the compaction. So we had the field cleaned, and our vendor that cleans the field and also installed the field also identified that, followed up with repair. And so that is the invoice that you're seeing for $8,000. Our policy with renting our facilities to the public, fortunately, it doesn't happen very often. But when we are leasing out our space, or when we have a user agreement to use the space, any damages that occur during an event are the responsibility of the user. So we pay the initial costs and then we bill the users of the facility.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor Dick,
Yes.
Counselor Sprow,
Yes.
Counselor Groot,
Yes.
Counselor Rule,
Yes.
Counselor McAllister.
Yes.
Consent calendar is approved. The first item under old business this evening is a presentation on the question that will be on the ballot for the Sandpoint city voters on election day next month regarding the city's tax lodging, tourist lodging tax. Jennifer, would you care to provide a presentation on that for us, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just going to open this and then hand it to Amanda to answer any questions that council members may have. We had a presentation on this a few months back, but again, ballot and voting is coming up on November 8th, and this local option tax will be one of the items that is on the ballot. The intention is to leverage visitor investment to meet community needs. And specifically, funding through this would fund street and pedestrian improvements throughout the city. We currently have a resort city local option tax on hotels, motels, and vacation rentals. It is a lodging tax. We have a 7% tax on lodging, which applies to visitors who are coming in and staying at temporary locations. Our current tax was approved by voters and went into effect January 1st of 2015, and it's scheduled to sunset on December 31st, 2025. Revenues raised through this tax are used primarily to benefit public safety services, police and fire, but are also used to support public parks operations such as City Beach Lifeguard Program and the Spot Bus Service. And currently we are averaging nearly $600,000 a year in revenues from our local option lodging tax. And the majority of those taxes are collected from hotels and motels, with the remainder from permitted short-term rentals. But we are starting to see that change, as we discussed when council approved this ballot measure, where we are seeing actually an increase in short-term rentals. And in the last year, we're seeing more come in from short-term rentals than what we're seeing from hotels and motels. And that's kind of been the trend that we've been moving in. What is before voters is to consider approval of an increase of the lodging tax from 7% to 14% and extending that tax out to 2035. The 7% that is currently allocated for public safety services, parks, and infrastructure would still be dedicated to the same purpose. The increase, the additional 7%, would be specifically for street and sidewalk improvements throughout the city. And with that, I will hand it over to Amanda to cover what those are. Do you want to switch over your screen or me scroll?
You can scroll.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer.
All right.
Good evening. Sorry, that's a little loud. So within our story that Jennifer just went through, if you scroll to the top of the page, I'll kind of walk it through as if you were a user trying to use it. We have multiple tabs at the top of the screen. So the introduction provides the background information. We have some frequently asked questions related to the ballot measure. And then on the right there, it says streets and pedestrian projects. If you click the streets and pedestrian projects page, it gives you more of the background that we previously presented to City Council and the public. Beginning with the current condition of our city streets and then following it to our current condition of our pedestrian infrastructure. Those two explanations really focus upon the past efforts regarding our existing condition assessments, such as our pavement assessment that we did in 2020, as well as previous pedestrian condition assessments. So reflecting that as we move forward to identify projects for funding, that we're looking at database decisions. And so scrolling down to the where to invest the dollars, this provides an explanation that as we continue to move forward with identifying projects, that it is truly a balance between not only the data that is represented up above, but also what we're hearing from the community. I'll give an example to that. We have a data set that represents various streets throughout the city that are in very poor or poor condition. And interestingly enough, the condition report would recommend that we not address those streets. In other words, invest in the streets that are about to reach the tipping point of failure and invest in those because it's more cost efficient to fix them before they fail, right? So that is one component of a priority in decision making. However, that doesn't mean that we can ignore the streets that are failing and not fix them. So this is trying to explain to voters that it's really a balance as we move forward with the projects of picking the streets and the pedestrian networks that both are about to approach failure, as well as those that need immediate repair because they've already failed. As you scroll down, we've divided the projects into two separate categories. The first being our initial priorities, which is the next 5-year forecast, as well as the future projects, which is 2027 to 2035. The 2023 to 2027 projects are the initial priorities in the next 5 years based upon the data that we have to date. The future projects, as represented in the story, are referencing that as we move forward, we will continue to do new condition assessments every 5 years and identify projects from that point forward. So the next 5-year projects, as Jennifer's clicked forward here, this takes you to our page, our capital improvement page. And this provides a map showing you the location of each one of the identified projects should this ballot measure pass and we move forward with the tourist tax. These are the identified projects. Majority of them listed there are in fact pedestrian projects. The two significant street improvements are listed at the bottom, which would be the Cedar Street reconstruction. We've all heard about that a lot, which is west of Division on Cedar Street, as well as the First Street reconstruction project. As you toggle over each one of those projects, you can further dive into additional details and review the project descriptions. And it'll actually take you to a map that provides more information on the location. So if you zoom in on that map, Jennifer, in addition to the pin, it'll show you the exact location of the Ellis sidewalk connectivity. So it's a pretty interactive story compared to our previous versions, and we'll continue to refine it within the next week to provide additional details on each one of those projects. That is all I have, unless you have any other questions.
Mr. Mayor,
Questions, council? Yeah.
not question. So I'm going to take my city council member hat off and just put my citizen hat back on. This is perfect for if I were a citizen that had an opinion about the conditions of our sidewalks and streets, as well as I had an opinion about who's going to pay for it and how we're going to get there. To be able to go to this and to more clearly understand the needs and what this is going to look like is exponentially better than a pamphlet in the mail, which is helpful as a reminder to go and do this research. So council member hat back on. It's a challenge to have a clear articulated conversation with someone that is either concerned about what's going on or confused about what's going on. As we progressed, this is, for me, having both of those hats on, really helpful. Obviously, I sit up here and I get to talk to you guys and I have a better, maybe a deeper understanding, but to be able to bring our citizens to a level of awareness that is at their fingertips, if they choose to read it and look at it and dig in. Because I will, in my explanations to people as a council member, I can stumble over myself and I'm not as clear as what some of these things are. So this is a thank you for helping me and us as council members go, hey, so you got some questions about this new tax that's coming up. And I know that you've got an opinion about taxes. However, why don't you take a look? Because I know that you care about our streets and our city. So maybe this will temper your concerns about increased taxes and understand that this might be a direction to be able to pay for those streets and sidewalks that you also have concerns about. So hats off to staff that put this together and an encouragement to our citizens to, like, I think that we all are aware that there's some feelings about our sidewalks and streets. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor. I just also want to say thank you for really explaining because I know we've had citizens that were concerned about, oh, so you're going to take money away from the police and safety and now you're just going to do this. And so I really appreciate that that's in the forefront, that no, that's going to stay for, what it was before. And then these additional funds will help pay for because that's, a big concern is streets. And so if it really is, I hope this encourages citizens to vote for the visitor tax, because again, this tax does not come from us. It comes from tourism. And so, to help our city, and, we certainly don't lack for tourists. We haven't for a number of years. So really kudos for this. It's very well thought out and I really appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor. I just like to add it's much appreciated. As Jennifer mentioned, we heard about this 2 to 3 months ago, but when you sit up here on the council, you hear a lot about a lot of things with a barrage of details for everything. And to be able to accurately regurgitate all those details when you're asked questions months later, I'm very appreciative of being able to reference this myself to talk more accurately to our citizens or to refer them to it. So I think it's going to be very helpful as a council person.
Mr. Mayor, a couple of questions. On the visitor's tax, do we need a super majority for this to pass? So 60%, is that right? And I appreciate the information here. It's really well laid out. It's concise. I'll echo what our other counselors said in terms of us being able to give our citizenry something to look at with the information. Is there something that the city is doing to lead them there? Do we have something up on social media? Are there emails? Are there something to direct them? It's great to have the information here if you have people that will seek out that information, right?
So this is currently on the front page of our website. We launched it today. It's in our announcements section. So everyone who's signed up for our announcement emails, and we do have a large number of those, they will have gotten an email letting them know that this was available on the city website. Following the meeting this evening, this will also go up on our social media. We will also have a link to this in the Engage Sandpoint app. We are able to push out through that app too for people who've signed up for notifications. So notification will come through there as well. We have a flyer that we've created. So council members, if you want any flyers for information, letting people know where to go, it tells them go get it on our website. We do have those available in the office as well. Amy will have a board on this and we'll have a computer down there that people can get in and look at this information at the public workshops next week. So we will be launching it at everything we've got as staff. We're pretty limited staff-wise in terms of what we can do in terms of outreach on this. So we're dependent on the electeds getting the information out to people too and citizens sharing it. So
I happen to be driving around a bunch of the neighborhoods pretty frequently, Monday through Friday. So
electeds can do a lot more than staff can.
And maybe one other question here too, because it's a super majority and what we've seen with the last local option tax getting, I think it was 52 to 53%. and not passing. Obviously, these projects, our streets aren't going to get better without this. What would be the next step if this doesn't pass? How do we start picking these projects off?
We are pretty much, we're reliant on grant funding for most of our street and sidewalk work. And that's why people don't see as much as they want to see with it. Street and sidewalk projects are very expensive. We created in lieu structure with sidewalks that put funding for different districts. So throughout the city, so we could fund sidewalk projects, and the city through property tax dollars has essentially doubled what our past investment was in streets and sidewalks over the last 3 years, and maintained that doubled amount year over year. So through pursuing grants and then relying on what we're able to do with our property tax dollars. But again, what we can do with funding streets and sidewalks, those dollars are coming out of our general fund, which is also what we use to fund public safety services. That's some of our parks funding. So we're limited, and particularly with recent legislation passed by the state legislature, which House Bill 386, which has really capped off our funding and put us in a place where growth doesn't necessarily pay for growth when we're seeing large times of development like we're currently seeing. So, and our other tool that we've used for some of our projects, downtown revitalization, a reminder that that was funded by urban renewal. So we created an urban renewal district downtown. We use that, and that is not additional tax dollars. So those property taxpayers within an urban renewal district are paying the same amount of tax that they would have otherwise, but it pulls the tax dollars across all of the taxing jurisdictions for improvements that will create economic benefit and gain to the community. And then similarly, we have the Northern District, which funds the Great Northern. It's about funding the Great Northern Road and reconstruction of that. And while there's not a lot of activity visibly for people to see on that, we're moving into property acquisition, which is going to enable us to do that construction.
Thank you.
Appreciate the questions. And lastly, I'd just like to, again, echo the other counselors' statements. Really appreciate the direction that the city has taken with both these last lots. Well, I should say the one, the Memorial Field tax. We came out to the voters and we told them pretty much exactly what they were buying. But even with that, there was a little bit of wiggle room because we didn't know how much we were going to raise. And, we gave ourselves kind of a pressure relief valve there if we had additional funds. But what I really appreciate about this proposal here is we really know pretty close to exactly what we're going to raise. And we're telling the public exactly where we're going to spend that money on. And we're not just picking streets off of a map, but we've done the data analysis to determine where we can most efficiently spend those dollars. And I just really commend the city's approach. I really commend staff for the work that you've done to put this proposal together. And I think that staff has done everything that we can to try to solve this very difficult problem of how do we fund street improvements and sidewalk improvements in our community when we simply just don't have the dollars to do it. And I think we put together the best proposal that we possibly can for the public, and that the public has every opportunity to make a perfectly informed decision about where their priorities lie. Do we want to invite the tourists, the visitors who come to our town and use our facilities? They use our streets, they use our sidewalks, they use our parks. Do we want to invite them to play a bigger role in helping us fund these essential infrastructure projects that we all benefit from? Or do we want to continue to rely on our local taxpayers as we have done year after year and continue to get infrastructure failing as we've done, because we simply are never going to meet that threshold to be able to maintain that infrastructure adequately unless we can find new funding streams. So I hope that the public out there can see the wisdom behind this proposal, and I hope they show up on November 8th to vote to approve this increase in the tourist tax. So thank you, staff, for your work on this. Really appreciate it. So is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this matter?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you again for that presentation. And next, we will consider the recommendations for the National Endowment for the Arts, or ARP, subgrant awards to local nonprofits, nonprofit art organizations. And I'll now yield the floor to our City Arts and Historic Preservation Officer, Heather Upton. Thanks, Heather.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I am so excited to be here tonight to share the recommendations for the NEA ARP Operation Support Grant. So again, that was the grant that the city had received from the National Endowment of Arts through the American Relief Plan funding. Those are subgrant funds, $100,000 to be put forth into our arts community through a subgrant that we created. So what I'm going to be presenting to you tonight are the recommendations from the Grant Review Committee. And here we go. So the first recommendation would be for the Music Conservatory of Sandpoint. And when the review committee were looking at a number of things in terms of the qualified applicants. Themes such as supporting our economic development, fostering a creative community, providing programming to those that do not have access to arts in general, bringing the community together of all ages, understanding the COVID challenges that they were faced with, and then looking at the general health of the organization, the direction, what is the future of where they are going. So the Music Conservatory, $24,000. The Grant Review Committee looked at this organization and felt like the strengths were in the arena of they're preserving an important community visual, they're supporting the community's visual character with the historic preservation efforts of their building. They're contributing to the community's vitality through all of the collaborations that the Music Conservatory does to the community, through the community. And they provide unique programming to a broad audience. The next one, the Ponderay Arts Council. This organization has truly operated as a steward of the arts community in Sandpoint. They serve as a gateway to make arts and culture more broadly accessible, and they support a diversity of arts disciplines that enrich artists individually and other arts institutions. Lighthouse YMCA, $12,500. So the Lighthouse, in terms of art organization, this was the real zinger, but it was pretty impressive. So Lighthouse YMCA utilizes local talent that is nationally recognized to run some of their new art programming. They provide a new angle and approach to the discovery of art. And they're presenting grassroots programming to those who don't normally have access to arts programming or wouldn't naturally walk into an organization that is known for arts. The Bonner County Historical Society, $12,500. This organization preserves the community's cultural identity and heritage. They create unique, engaging experiences through their programming. And they function as our main heritage institution. And they do that through supporting other nonprofits, private and public individuals throughout the community. The festival at Sandpoint, $7,000. This is a large economic driver to our community. They enhance Sandpoint's identity as a unique cultural destination, and they help build the local capacity for artists here in the community. Lake Ponderay Repertory Theater, $7,000. They have really reignited local performing arts in our community. They provide community programming to a diverse audience, and they collaborate with others to achieve their goals. The Canada Theater, $7,000. This is an economic and tourist driver, their institution is. They support the historical arts for our community. They truly are a established, recognized institution for that. And they do support other arts and cultural organizations in the community. They do a lot of collaborations, and they serve as a performance center as well. $7,000 to the Carousel of Smiles. So this organization supports craftsmen and local artists in the community. They are a potential economic driver, and they bring a broad audience of the community together. So those are the recommendations from the Grant Review Committee. Do we have any questions?
Council, any questions?
Not a question. So in a town the size that we have, which is, roughly 10,000, and then looking at this list, it's very apparent how much we love and care about the arts in a city this size, and the depth of talent of individuals, artists, craftsmen, intelligence, contributors. I am excited for you and for what this has in front of us. So.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
What a fun project.
Yes, it was glorious.
Anyway,
Giving money away.
Yes.
the
hard
worthy
decision to-
organizations.
Yeah.
I have a question, Heather, about the what is the unique angle to art that YMCA is offering? Can you explain that a little bit?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So they're featuring performance art into, this is a new programming that they're putting forth, and it's programming that they wanted to do beforehand before COVID hit. So that new art programming that they were looking to put forth in the community was put on pause. And so one of the programs is performing arts with a local Dallas cowboy cheerleader, which I thought was really neat. I want to get out there and pump a leg too. And they also have some really interesting art program with like creative dream boards and some really unique angled kind of entry level art programming that doesn't compete with the other art programs that are going on in the community, which I thought was really great.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for that presentation.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, is there anyone in the public that would like to comment on this matter?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. I would entertain a motion for approval of the resolution for the National Endowment for the Arts NEA ARP subgrant awards. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? This will be a roll call vote.
Counselor McAllister,
Yes.
Counselor Dick,
Yes.
Counselor Rule,
Yes.
Counselor Groot,
Yes.
Counselor Sprow.
Yes.
Motion passes, and congratulations to all those grant
Thank
recipients.
you.
Thank you, Arts Committee, Arts and Historic Commission, for your selection efforts. Next, council will consider an update to the city's fair housing resolution. I'll yield the floor to City Planner Amy Tweeten.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council members, again, this is an update resolution as required to receive federal funding for housing programs and community development block grants in general, is a resolution to affirmatively affirm fair housing.
Okay, does council have any questions? All right, well, let the record reflect that Councilor Spiro has left the room, but we still have a quorum. I'm going to go ahead and move on with the opportunity to invite the public to comment on this matter.
No one, Mr. Mayor.
Nobody wants to comment. Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve and adopt the updated City of Sandpoint Fair Housing Resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? This will be roll call vote.
Counselor McAllister,
Yes.
Counselor Dick,
Yes.
Counselor Groot,
Yes.
Counselor Rule.
Yes.
Motion passes. The final item on the agenda this evening is a development and building update from our city planner, once again, Amy Tweeden. Thank you.
And Christine Pullman is here as well to help me with my presentation. And this is an update on construction and development update through the third quarter of the year. This is an overview of the past. We're showing 5 years plus 3 quarters of building permit activity. As you can see, we are ahead again this year. Last year, clearly, we were had a lot more building permits than 2020. Third quarter for building permits is exceeding what we did in 2021. And it's building and other permits. So building permits also include zoning compliance site plan reviews. So there's both a zoning and building element to those permits. So those are on the building permit side. On planning and zoning applications, this is short plats, lot line adjustments, conditional use permits. Again, we are already exceeding this year the number of applications that we had total last year. It was the first quarter that was particularly busy, but it's been steady throughout the year. And kind of some number overview of how those break down. Pending construction, so these are permits that have been issued. This could have been, this is some of these could be 2021 through, they could have been issued in 21. They're still under construction in 22. So that is 309 new residential dwelling unit. And that's within 7 different active subdivisions and then interspersed construction throughout the city that includes accessory dwelling units. And then 33 commercial permits. Again, that is in 2022 through the third quarter. New construction permits that are under review currently. We have 57 single-family residential permits under review, 18 multifamily and mixed-use buildings. Now that is buildings, not number of units. And then 7 commercial and industrial permits. And then coming in the pipeline sooner than later are 4 subdivisions that have gone through preliminary plat. They're currently putting in their infrastructure and then we'll come back for final plat before they can actually build, but that is a total of 100 single-family dwelling units. Then we also have at your next meeting, I believe, will be the request for a planned unit development for University Place Phase 4. That's a total of 227 dwelling units, and a rezone request for 100 multifamily units is also pending. So that's the breakdown. I don't know, Christine, if there's any additional detail that you want to provide, or if the mayor or council members have any questions.
Council, question?
Mr. Mayor, and I know that you probably don't know this answer to this, but I have to tell you that I'm very disgruntled. Do you know if any of these are going to be actually affordable to the low wage earners? Because what I'm finding now is a number of people, specifically younger people, who have tried to sign up for the low, what people are calling low income housing and affordable housing, and finding that the salary requirements are from 46,000 to 125,000. And I would like to say, if someone is earning $125,000 a year, why are they considered low income? And also, so does that mean anybody who makes below 46,000, which in our community is a tremendous amount? No, it feels like that we just don't care about them because there's nowhere for them to go. I mean, because their rents are $2,000. And I know it's because people have bought the houses or whatever, and they pay that amount of money and that's their mortgage payment. But it's very disconcerting because a lot of these young people come to me and talk to me, and they're gonna have to leave. Several of them are gonna have to leave town, and they're great employees. And like I said, I don't expect you to have the answer to this. I'm just really frustrated about this, that, and I don't know about anybody else on the council, but finding out, I can't wrap my head around that you don't make enough money to be low income. That's a concept I just can't wrap my head around, but that's just my 2 cents worth. And not that you've done anything wrong. I think staff is great. I just wanted to voice that in case any developers are listening to city council.
So, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think now is the time to air that disgruntledness. And this isn't anything from to staff. This and these numbers are a reflection of, we have heard that we need more housing. We have heard that we need density. We have heard, we have done what we can do here, and you have done everything that you can do over there. We're doing the best that we can for our citizens. So we've heard the citizens, we've worked with staff. And now, to any developer that chooses to listen to this or not, now it's your turn. It's your turn to operate within the rules and the guidelines, because that's what we want to do. We've done our part. Staff has done their part. Developers, it's time to do your part. Just my 2 cents also.
I guess,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I
Yeah.
could try to address both of those, and Christine would probably have the numbers, but that 309, I believe, includes Samuelson, which is, I believe, assisted senior housing and multifamily housing. So there are some, I don't know what the program they used.
So I can maybe help. We're not seeing any of them finished yet, but definitely they're under construction, and we're doing inspections daily at Samuelson. And we are aware that that project is receiving federal funding and intends for the 91 multifamily units to be subsidized for low income people who need housing. So we're not seeing it yet, but we're getting very close to seeing those come to fruition. It's been a long wait,
Right.
but that hopefully will help answer some of that.
Thank you so much.
And I think if council members remember the Leland report presentation, the private sector or the market alone is not going to solve the affordable housing issue. It's going to take a public-private partnership, and we know there's different tools that can be used. There's discussions of housing authorities, but the reality is, will more housing bring down the cost? Because we have supply that we did not have before. That might help, but the market will not provide for the truly low income people. And that gets back to why it is important that you pass this affirmatively furthering fair housing resolution, because it will take public funding and partnerships to address that housing segment.
Right. And a lot of them feel like they have no voice. And so I feel that that's why I was elected, is to be that voice. And so again, no disparagement on staff. I'm just worried about losing these lovely young people.
Any other questions from council? Okay. Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this matter? Okay. With that, that concludes our agenda this evening. And thank you for that presentation, Amy. Thank you for your support there, Christine. And I hope everyone has a great evening. This meeting is adjourned.